Psychedelia was born in an unlikely convergence of circumstances, the Times music critic John Perellis wrote, reviewing a concert by the band Olivia Tremor Control, adding bands from the Beatles to the 13th floor elevators piled on instruments and effects as they let songs ramble, making crackpot ideas sound like glimmers of genius. Without a tie-dyed shirt in sight, Perellis continued, the Olivia Tremor Control brought back that essence of psychedelia, lighthearted and sprawling with possibilities. Part of a collective of bands known as the Elephant Six Recording Company, Olivia Tremor Control makes a kind of outsider art from their base in Athens, Georgia, concocting homemade recordings as well as concept albums such as Dusk at Cubist Castle and their latest, Black Foliage, all in the spirit of 1960s studio psychedelia. But the band is no nostalgia act. Though Olivia Tremor Control can seem silly at times and profound at others, the group is marked by two qualities that place it resolutely in the present. The first is a sense of close and lively friendship among the band members. The second is a willingness to experiment, even when the band might be dismissed as foolish. At the core of the group is the friendship between Bill Doss and William Cullen Hart, who grew up in Ruston, Louisiana, along with their Elephant Six associates, Robert Schneider of the band Apples in Stereo, and Jeff Mangum of Neutral Milk Hotel. I spoke with Bill Doss and William Cullen Hart on Easter Sunday in New York.
Spending my last dollar in a hotel and a restaurant. Sky looks gray, but the sky inside is a mighty great one. Don't worry.
I guess we met through Robert.
Mm-hmm. Met him at the guitar store.
Yeah, so he and Robert knew each
Hawaiian
other
shirt.
for a while. He's the guy in the Apples in Stereo.
Right. Robert got a 4-track.
Yeah,
You know, so it's like every day
so.
after school, everybody goes to Robert's house. I got a new song. So do I. It's my turn.
Not long after that, we started to discover that there were people out there Daniel Johnston, his name flew in, and it was like, man, these people are like making records on nothing, on no equipment. So, like he said, we started doing tape to tape, Kmart mic, play it in the background, and you sing over it while the guitar plays in the background on another stereo. And
where were you guys hearing music? Was there a radio station, a record store?
there was a college radio station there, and so there was just, small, like 10 people worked there, and so they were like the only interesting, way out. We started listening to that radio, and then about 2 years after that, I guess, when I was in high school, I was always calling those DJs anyway. So I called and said, hey, I'd really like to join the station, even though I'm not in college, and they worked it out for me. So I got to be in high school, but on the weekends go up and do shows.
Yeah.
And that really changed all of our lives.
Actually, I remember in high school working at that commercial station. I worked at this commercial radio station, and I worked the midnight to 6 shift, and so I would just turn the music down really low after I put something on, and I would turn KLPI on and listen to the punk show.
So let's skip ahead to Black Foliage now. Tell me a little bit more about what an animation is exactly on this album and how it worked putting it together.
What we basically did was take little bits of the songs as we were recording them. I'll take, for example, somebody put a violin track down on one of the songs. That's a melody. And then we just take that little melodic thing, pull all the other tracks out and just take that melody and put it onto a piece of tape and go mess with it and bring it back, and it becomes these tracks called combinations.
Yeah, once you take a violin from this song, a horn line from this song, and clarinet line from another song, turn them inside out and then chop them up and put them together.
It becomes a new sequence, and to me, they all sounded animated, so that was a good thing. I see cartoons when I hear them. I see little bugs running by and stuff. So we just wanted to suggest to people that a sense of humor comes with it. It should be fun. It's animated. Have a laugh. Don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to be,
Don't take it too seriously.
yeah, because it's bubbling and all this stuff flying by, and it's it's supposed to be fun and friendly, and at the same time, it's supposed to, I don't know. We hope that it's interestingly put together as well.
There is that one sort of bass line that sort of creeps along.
was sort of the thread of the whole thing. You
I
know,
think
that's how it started.
That's how the whole
really.
thing started.
You know, we had that song, and it was just like, let's see what we could do in taking this through a few different levels. You know what I mean? Of I don't know. It's like try it Italian style, try it in this kind of melody, try it with this, and we did a few of those, and then somewhere along the way we were just like, man, let's start extracting from every song. So we started extracting from songs before they were even finished. I mean, the whole idea, I think, was just to constantly be revising and trying to get a different meaning out of the context of the sounds, you know, because when you can have the same thing, you stick it somewhere else with a few different things around it, and suddenly you hear that sound differently, you know.
But it's the same sound. You just have a different context.
Tell me about living in Athens and sort of how the music develops in that setting.
We're always recording. We all have little setups at home. You know, whether it's anything from like cassette 4-tracks, digital 4-tracks, or cassette, or digital or reel-to-reel 8-tracks and stuff like that. You know, everybody's got something set up in their house, and we do that. You know, and if somebody comes over to the house and you're recording, they'll add something. You know, so you just keep stockpiling music.
Not necessarily thinking about this is a recording for this or this is this.
Yeah.
It's just.
He
stopped by and I'm like, I got a song here, do you want to put a bass line on it? That'll maybe sit around for 6 months, and then, you know, we put a DAT together of 6 songs, and then now and then maybe a few of us will all get together and do something at once. But a lot of times the idea flow is more one-on-one. Because after you have like 5 people, it's a party. It's better to have a couple of overseers for that little overdub that's going to happen. The rest of the people can be like in a different room or something, because
we just try to keep it pretty democratic to where, like, if somebody brings in a song, like if somebody writes a song and brings it in, everybody's free to like add anything they want, but whoever I guess brought the idea in could say, no, that's not quite the feel I had for it, you know, and nobody's feelings get hurt. You know, it's just like, okay, you know, because like he'll bring in a song and I'll be like, well, how about this? And, you know, and he's like, well, no, not that exactly. And it's like, okay, back to the drawing board then. Let me think. Okay, how about this? And maybe that'll be the one. Some songs are brought in, like, you know, with already like 8 horn parts written out and 16 backing vocal parts and organs and pianos and bass, and like everything's kind of already, like, I hear things
in its place.
Yeah, I hear like a whole song in my head, like over a period of like a few weeks. Like things come to me, one instrument after another, like every couple of days, and then pretty soon it's just like it's there. You know, I hear like 24 tracks of stuff all at once. So you know, you go in and it's like, okay, well, you got all that to do first. Let's get all this on the tape, then let's start the collaborative kind of like messing with it and seeing where we can take it from there.
Can you think of a song that is that example?
Hideaway
was like
that
that.
probably.
Yeah, because I heard all the parts to it already, and couldn't write them out because I can't write music, but I could tell, like, you know, the horn guy's like, kind of like this, you know, play it on guitar or something, or play it on piano, and but then like somehow I forget where the idea came from. Somebody came up with the idea of doing that 2 guitar adding thing, to where, like, you know, 2 guitars start off, and then there's 3 in each speaker, and then there's 4 in each speaker, and then, you know, it goes up to like 13 or something, you know.
So that idea was brought in later.
Yeah, because I mean I wrote the song probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, and then like stuff happens along the way. It's like we heard it, you know, 100 times working on it, and at some point, I think it was Robert just dropped everything out near the end.
Yeah,
and that's when all his
yeah.
vocals pop in.
He dropped everything out
drops
but the
and
bass.
kicks back in. That was like the perfect ending. It's easy for us to work like this because everybody's so close. I mean,
That seems to be a real part of this album, and also Dusk at Cubist Castle, which is that they're about doing pretty complicated musical stuff and also sort of living your everyday life at the same time.
I think
Yeah.
that's important, to keep the realness there. You wake up and you have experience, and then you can like roll over and like record it right that day and have a few people drop by and it could be done. I mean, you can write something and then 6 months down the road you have to reproduce what you felt, and that's not always the best way for us to work. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a perfectly structured song and we know exactly what is going to happen. But sometimes the essence is, you know, you couldn't do it.
The guitar happens to be tuned just right that day.
Our
The
cat
tune
ran
just
across
right.
it, and you just pick it up and you write a song like you're tuning, and it's like
You'll
God,
never
this is
find it again.
perfect. So.
And also sort of that real feeling of how you feel.
Mhm.
at that time.
Yeah, it's a muggy day, and the windows are open, and the birds are
Yeah.
pick up on the mic, and the whole.
We have that a
deal.
lot of times where like we'll do a couple of versions of a song, and you're listening to the one you just did. It's really pretty hi-fi and sounds pretty good, sonically. But then you have the one that you did the first day that you wrote it, that doesn't sound as hi-fi, and you can't hear everything so well, but it's got that feel. So you like weigh it and go, which one? And sometimes we'll, like you did on one song, you put like a newer version of a song in one speaker, put the old original 4-track version in the other speaker, and let that go, let it go like that.
Which song
Put them
is
both.
that?
I'm trying to think.
Was it? I don't know what you called it.
Oh,
Liberate.
it's called. Yeah, it's called now. It's called.
It was called Liberate.
It's called Another Set of Bees in the Museum.
Yeah.
It gives it a weird feel.
Tell me about the name. Where does Olivia
The
Tremor
band name?
Control come from?
Which story would you like to hear?
Jeff Mangum named us.
And
No story, just pure surrealism. We just liked it.
he just walked in one day and said,
Yeah, we were looking around for the right band name, and he was a drummer at the time. He was like, Olivia Tremor Control. Hey, some kind of weird earthquake thing. Okay, we just liked it. It's fine. It didn't have any connotations to us in any way. So I think we all agreed that we liked it. So
It wasn't like Spoon,
Right.
or it was just long enough to be psychedelic when you put "the" in front of it, and didn't mean anything at all.
The next question I was going to ask was about the kinds of multimedia interests that you guys have.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how music relates to these other art forms, and painting, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
I consider him a painter.
yeah, that's
really,
a big one.
About everything.
That's a big one for me. Is like, this album directly relates to its cover for me, and I think that like the sounds are those are the sounds, flying around to me. That if that could move, then you'd see what the
You'd hear
sound.
combinations.
You'd see what the sounds are, and I think you'd understand.
This is
So it relates directly to us because we hear things. If we were to hear the record now, we point out things to you like, hey, there's like 40 ants running by right there. Oh, you see that little hummingbird just flew by right there. Oh, okay, here's a pop song again. Now, this part right here, that's where something just flew by, and then that I could show you where that's at in the cover or whatever. So that it relates directly because we're always just working on stuff simultaneously. Somebody, I don't know. I do painting and music at the same time. But like.
And the
I don't know.
4-track in this corner.
Yeah, something over here is
Easel in that
humming,
corner.
being recorded while I'm painting, and then I'll come back to it and like look at that. And so to me, it's all the same.
And are there a lot of other people in Athens that you come across the work they're doing, and it's just this sort of
Oh yeah,
communal,
tons of people. Depends which way you decide to walk that day. Lately, I've been dropping by a lot over at Jeff Mangum, and Julian Coster lives there with him, and they've been making this all kinds of props for the music tapes. Show we're gonna play with them in the West Coast, and it's amazing to go see what they're doing every day. They're making like all these 8-foot metronomes and all this crazy stuff. So that's happening, and that's totally inspiring. You go sit around there for an hour and watch them cutting and sawing and getting that show together, and it just totally inspires you to,
Go home and create something.
yeah, in whatever means,
The band has quite a reputation for the range of instruments that you use. Now, I wanted to know what from the euphonium to the saw to the theremin. How do you come across all these instruments? Where do you find them?
General
Junk
interest.
stores. Yeah, the theremin in particular, Eric built that. The drummer, he just sent away for a kit, put that together. Saw, Julian was living here in New York and decided to start playing saw and started taking lessons out in Brooklyn, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, and
From some guy
from
that's
some
been
old
doing
saw
it for
player.
like 60 years.
It's that euphonium, like somebody left in our house, and then so we lugged it around for a while just to have, and then come to find out Scott plays euphonium perfectly.
Tell me about the Black Swan Network and how that relates to Olivia Tremor Control.
You cannot expect no pop songs, I guess, with the Black Swan Network. It's like all
Yeah, so people don't go
cerebral.
home and put it in and go, damn.
It's all cerebral. That's cool, you know. And there you go. I mean, that's kind
Or
of
if they
really,
don't like the pop, you know, they want full-on electronic stuff, they can go get that.
That's where you go, you know. It's really just a different view, and we decided to call it something different, just to, you know. It's fun to have spin-offs in a way, because it's just it's the same thing, but you're able to just focus on a different project.
Now, are you really getting a steady stream of tapes of people's dreams? What was it like getting tapes from all over the place?
It was pretty amazing, actually. We got like 30, I think.
Did you feel like there was a theme? You know, were they from all over the world?
That's what we were hoping. We were hoping that, actually. We were hoping to find some correlation between people dreaming, and no, there's not, except that people dream a lot about their everyday life. A lot of the dreams were like, I dreamed that I went to work.
You're like, he said something weird maybe.
Yeah,
was going on. I was naked.
I can see then how some of Black Foliage sort of grew out of that, because it's that idea of this sort of daily life, but then
With a tiny bit of a twist.
Yeah.
Where you're not sure, if like you're awake.
Do you find that you come back to the same records and musicians, other musicians, or do you find that you're always sort of hearing new things and sort of expanding?
Both. I mean,
Yeah.
there's things that, I mean, you know, there's the classic things that I love in pop music, well, any music that I come back to. I'm the same. I'm always like looking for something new, and there's things that I've maybe touched down on for a few weeks and then decide like, okay, that was cool, but not earth-shattering for me right now, and I'll move on and put a Coltrane album on again, and like you know what I mean? It's things that you come back to. A lot of it, you know what I mean? All the Beatles and the Kinks and stuff is just so necessary. Gotta have my Kinks.
What is it about that makes it so necessary?
When I need, like, I don't listen to a lot of pop music, but when I need a 3-minute song to like tell me everything's alright,
It's got to be damn good.
it's gonna be them, you know, or, you know, when they sing something like Dead End Street, it's like, makes you feel alright, because you're just like, man, I don't
Everything's
know.
gonna work out.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it seemed
You
like
need-
pop,
when
it
you
seemed
need
like
the
pop
pop.
music in that era, you know, like the late '60s, was just like the epitome of like what pop music could be. It seems.
it's beautifully recorded too. It's good on the ear.
Yeah, sound quality.
It's good on the ear.
Nobody
yeah.
sounds like that anymore. Nobody has no bands have those sounds. You know, which I don't understand why. Because that's just the best sounding era for music. I mean, unless you want to go back, backwards from there. You know, it just seems like it just got less and less pleasing on the ear. Even though there were tons of great bands after that, they were writing great music. It just didn't quite seem to have that sound, that soft, pillowy, kind of warm sound.
How does Elephant Six work?
It's a family, a collective, a record label, and
It works differently each time. Do you know? Like with each move that we make, it's working itself out.
it
just
seems to
does
keep
it-
splitting and morphing into whole different areas that we never would have thought about.
It just does itself.
And so
Yeah.
it is hard to put a definition and say Element 6 is this, because tomorrow it won't be that.
We don't like call each other and decide what should happen next.
How much do you feel that it's changed since you've known each other for a
I don't think the
while?
ideals of it have changed, or the way things happen, but I think it's just grown. It's just it incorporates a lot more people now, which is really cool, I think.
But the same kind of, just the idea of getting together with that 4-track.
Yeah.
Hasn't
After
changed.
school every day,
Yeah.
meet over at Roberts. We're gonna record.